is Bean to Barstool, a podcast that looks at the intersections of craft beer and craft chocolate. My name is David Nilsson. I'm a professional beer writer and an advanced cicerone, and the creator and host of this show. The music for this episode is by my dear friend, indie folk musician Anna P.S. You can find out more about Anna's music in the show notes or at her website, annapsmusic.com. You can find links and information about our guests in the show notes as well. I hope you enjoy this episode of Bean to Barstool. Hey everyone, welcome to Bean to Barstool Bite Sized, where we spend about 5 minutes with some of our favorite people from craft beer and craft chocolate. Today we hear from Nick Davis, the founder and chocolate maker at One One Cacao in Jamaica. In this clip, Nick talks about some of the challenges facing cacao farmers and laborers in Jamaica, what needs to change to give craft chocolate more visibility, and how making chocolate can help Nick's family and other Jamaican families reclaim their heritage. Here's Nick Davis from One One Cacao.
To be able to pick cocoa, it's back-breaking work, and it's long work, and it's tiresome work. It's slavery work. You know, you wouldn't do it if you had a choice. You know, so now getting people to work alongside them is a real challenge. You know, they may have cocoa, and a lot of this is almost legacy cocoa in Jamaica. We've not had an effective planting program for many, many years. That's something which, you know, I know that I'm trying to do, and some of the other chocolate makers on the island are trying to do as well, is getting more nurseries up in place and, you know, trying to get clonal propagation going. It's hard. You know, but getting people to actually physically go out there and pick during the cocoa season, that's our biggest struggle, because, you know, nobody wants to be rural poor. You know, I mean, urban poor is bad enough, but rural poor is like terrible. You know, I mean, it's terrible. You know, people want opportunity.
What gives you hope or makes you excited about this industry in Jamaica?
Every time I make a batch of chocolate, the thrill you get when you ferment from a new location and it looks like it's going well, and you get that first batch from the fermentary, the old guy I work with sort of bags it up and he's like, you know, scraping the beans off the drying bed, and you smell them and they just smell amazing, and you take them back and you put them into the machine and you sort of roast them, and as it comes out, you just get that you just know that there's some really interesting complex things going into your nose, and you're just like, yeah, this is good. And then you get it into the grinder and you're like, some volatiles coming off this bad boy. And then you're like, it's just addictive. It's just mesmerizing, and that transformation. And then each time you test as you're going through, it's just the best feeling. And then obviously when it goes wrong, it's the worst, right? You know, when it's under fermented and you're like, this could have been so good. And remember, with cocoa, each time you do a ferment is an experiment almost, right? With what's going on in those particular set of days and those particular. So when it goes right, it's amazing. When it goes wrong, it's depressing. But that's the way life is, right? And don't ever forget it. It's ups and downs, and you just have to roll with the downs, because you know there's going to be an up. What we need to do is we need to educate people in terms of the importance of chocolate. It's not about the taste anymore. Like, everybody knows it tastes better. It doesn't take a genius to work that bit out. And as I said, we've been saying the message for long enough, but obviously we haven't been saying it in the right way. Something is fundamentally missing at the moment, why craft chocolate isn't where it should be. And I think it's education. I think we're missing a trick in education. And I think that's what's going to get us over. Because education should be marketing. Yeah, I think it should be marketing. And again, I think that's where origin plays a really big role. I think, you know, what a lot of origin countries have is people. People come to us because we have sunshine and you guys don't. You know, and so that's where the two things can align. So as I said, it's more than just getting your beans. It's about developing relationships with countries in origin, makers in origin, farmers in origin. That's cool. But I think that's where we can work together and make some really interesting things happen.
Listening to your story as an outsider, you mentioned cocoa originally was a slavery era crop and was continued to use as a tool of exploitation for so long. Is there any way in which doing this now is kind of giving your family back their story, kind of
Yeah,
redeeming this thing?
yeah. I wouldn't say what redeeming cocoa. The crop never did anything wrong, right? It's taking back the power. It's about who gets the value. I was thinking about this earlier on in a very random way. I was thinking about jazz. I was thinking about house music. House music was born out of repression towards the gay community in the northern states, right? Safe spaces, and then it gets co-opted and all of the money goes out and all of these original people are gone, right? The same thing happens with commodities. So it's a story that just gets repeated over and over again. And I think anything which corrects the history, I think, is important. I like doing that. I like, it's important to do that. It's not fair. So yeah, I challenge it. And the weird thing is if you're being cynical, you can use that as a business model. And why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you take back something which is part of your story?
You can find out more about One One Cacao in the show notes. You can listen to my entire conversation with Nick back in episode 78. I'll share that in the show notes as well. The music today was by my dear friend Anna P.S. My name is David Nilsson. Thanks for listening to Bean to Barstool Bite Sized.